Well, thanks everyone for sticking around. As you know, Tom at Judicial Watch his organization has doggedly pursued Hillary Clinton and exposed her email scandal, drove home to the American public her untrustworthiness throughout the entirety of the campaign season. You guys did the work, basically, that the mainstream media was unwilling to do,
right,
what Congress was unwilling to do,
right,
and the Obama administration was unwilling to look into. So based on that, you still have several lawsuits pending regarding the Obama administration, corruption in that, as well as regarding Hillary Clinton. Now that Donald Trump is in the White House, how is your organization's focus going to change, and how do you see wrapping up a lot of those suits that you still have out there pending?
Well, there's a lot there to unwrap, but obviously we changed history with the Clinton email scandal.
Yeah.
We uncovered it.
Yeah, you did.
It wasn't Congress, it wasn't the media, and of course it was the Obama administration that was implicated in helping her cover it up. And scandal matters to the American people. Fighting corruption matters, and certainly there was no indictment of Hillary Clinton yet. But if there was a grand jury sitting on Election Day, they made their views known on whether Clinton did anything wrong on her email scandal. And we're still in the middle of the email scandal. We're still trying to get all the emails, and frankly, President Trump's administration should consider reopening or pursuing any ongoing criminal investigations related to Hillary Clinton.
So what do you still have ongoing? I know the FBI has recovered some of the emails that she deleted.
We still don't have all of her emails. We still don't have all the pay-for-play emails. And the Obama administration has slow-walked the release of that information, has been fighting us tooth and nail. The Trump administration has been in office a minute, and so they aren't up to speed as to what needs to be released more quickly and to stop the obstruction. In many ways, we're waiting for the Trump administration still to take power in that regard to get the transparency we need, not only from the State Department, from the Justice Department, which was absolutely ruined by President Obama.
Well, and we know a lot of Obama's staff, there's a lot of Obama holdovers that are still within the Trump administration. A lot of the emails that you exposed and a lot of the reporting coming out this year has been about this shadow government that's basically going on, that's trying to undermine Trump's agenda from the get-go. What can you say to that, and what can Trump do to kind of root out the shadow government that you started to expose?
Well, the Obama administration is still there in many ways, and the administration hasn't appointed all the officials they need to appoint to the various agencies. And I say from Judicial Watch's perspective, we're obviously going to be looking at what President Trump is up to. You know, we need to hold the president accountable to the rule of law, and I think he expects that. If he doesn't, he's in for a surprise. But then on top of that, there's this alt government in place, a government staffed by recent appointees or hires of President Obama. And I often joke there are lots of Democrats in the bureaucracy, but on the other hand, there are also a lot of Republicans who think they know better than President Trump and are willing to thwart the rule of law. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with having honest dissent and disagreements. But when you're hired as a federal official, you're supposed to do what the president says within the law. And no one's asking him to do anything illegal, but they're organizing actively against him and subverting the rule of law. And we see elements of this with the targeting of General Flynn. General Flynn did nothing wrong, in my view. He was wronged. And let's be clear. You had President Obama and his team wiretap President Trump after he won the election and his team. On what basis? So it's not about Russia connections. It's about illegal wiretapping of the Trump organization and his transition staff by an out-of-control Justice Department and Obama administration. And then they're leaking the results of that classified wiretaps in a way that harms the national security and tries to destroy their political enemies. It's the IRS scandal, except at the national security level.
And so what has your organization has requested from the NSA?
Oh, we're on it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not going to wait for Congress to investigate it. We're not going to wait for the Justice Department to investigate it. We've asked under the Freedom of Information Act last month for some of these records, and we could be suing within days just to get access to this information.
And then as soon as he gets access, you guys get access, and we get the truth uncovered. I want to kind of shift topics, and voter fraud has been a topic of conversation.
Right.
And if you listen to the mainstream media, they would say it doesn't exist, that there is no such thing, and that we should all just move on, and this is one of Trump's terrible, dreams. What say you about voter fraud? Does it exist? How can it be uncovered? Is it a problem?
It exists and it needs to be investigated. The left would have you believe we have 43 million aliens present in the United States, both lawful and unlawfully present, and none of them vote. Now, President Trump would suggest maybe 3 to 5 million of them vote, or others people vote illegally. Well, obviously the number is somewhere in between. It's probably about 1 million or so. But why not ask the question?
Yeah.
Under the Obama administration, they opposed voter ID. They opposed the idea of even asking someone whether they were a citizen, or making sure they were a citizen before they registered to vote. Why on earth would you be opposed to that, other than you wanting to be able to steal elections when necessary? Mm-hmm. And we've been fighting for voter integrity at Judicial Watch. We've battled the Obama administration. We sued states to clean up the rolls. But the president's idea about a federal investigation into voter fraud will be the most significant civil rights investigation in a generation. We're on the side of civil rights. We're on the side of the civil rights of American voters who potentially are having their votes stolen from them by the thousands, if not millions, by illegal votes. He should be pursuing this, and it's easy to figure out whether there's voter fraud. And obviously that's why the left is screaming, because they're afraid their jig is up.
Yeah, and we don't know what we don't know, and so to say that there's no such thing because we have an investigator exposed it, I think is a nonsensical argument. But President Trump announced that next week he's going to unveil a new immigration ban, a new travel order. What do you think of the old order? What needs to be done to improve the new order, and what should be? Do you like his immigration policy thus far?
Only in Washington is it revolutionary to finally enforce the rule of law. He's not doing anything new. He's just enforcing the law as written. People who are here illegally, if you're a criminal who's violent, you're more likely to be deported. But if we run into you and you're here illegally, you could also be deported because you're not supposed to be here. That's a quite sensible approach, and that's what the law is, and it should be no surprise. And the idea that it's controversial that these terrorist-infected states go through more scrutiny before we allow citizens from those states to enter the United States, why is that controversial? Look, the left has this massive infrastructure that's going to oppose any enforcement of our immigration laws. And frankly, there are more than a few Republicans who don't like that either. So this is only revolutionary because Washington doesn't want what the American people want. And immigration is controversial in Washington, D.C. till Trump, because the politicians in Washington wanted to do something the American people didn't want to do, which was grant amnesty. And evidently that ain't going to happen under this president. But in the meantime, we're going to do our work. We're suing San Francisco over their sanctuary policy. So you citizens, you can't rest on your laurels, either through Judicial Watch or on your own. You have to be watchdogs over the government. It isn't over just because President Trump is president.
And what can they do? We have zero time left, but as active, engaged conservatives that want to expose the truth, where can they go to your website?
Well, they can go to our website, obviously, at judicialwatch.org, but hold your local officials to account and ask the Congress when are they going to finally start doing what they're supposed to do in terms of government oversight, because we're happy to do the work, but frankly, it's outrageous we're the only ones doing it. But we're happy to do it for you, and it shows you we can change history if you're focused on these issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you much. Thanks, Tom.
Hey, thank you, Kelly.